All right. Looks like we got a good crowd. We're gonna get rolling. We're gonna have a very busy morning with this. So we got a lot of people to get through. I want to thank you all for coming and participating in this event with us, with this workshop, Engineering Manufacturing Workforce Partnership Seminar. Always great to have all the attendees, and really, I think you'll find a lot of value in what these panelists and these speakers are going to bring to us today. So glad we're able to share this. This is a joint venture. I am the director of the Engineering Center of Excellence. I'm Jason Bruns, and I've got Chris Williams, the assistant director with Minnesota State Advanced Manufacturing Center of Excellence as well, who we work together on making this go with the Engineering Center and the Advanced Manufacturing Center. So again, thank you all for attending. I want to thank you for our speakers and our panelists. Really a great group of people. And you'll find the speakers, the vision, what we had with this is we wanted a larger company to talk about what they do. We wanted a smaller company to talk about what they do. You know, there's always that dichotomy of, oh, well, a big business compared to a small business. Let's have them both speak this time, talk about how they're connecting industries and schools, and then let's have a school come in there as well. You'll find in our panelists coming together some great representation from manufacturers or manufacturing groups across the state, MPMA, Midwest Manufacturing Association as well. And then state MDE with Tim Barrett. So hopefully you'll find as much value as we can supply out of this, and these speakers coming forward with that. Couple of housekeeping items. There'll be a survey that'll be coming out tomorrow. Please fill that out. That provides us some more opportunities of other topics to bring for our next event, and then ways that we can better satisfy some of the needs that you might have going forward. So thank you very much for being part of that and filling that out. There'll be video of this available on Advanced Manufacturing website as well. So be sure to go there if you have friends or other people you want to share this with, please do. We want this to be educational and available for you. Professional development or contact hours, those people that need those are looking for this. This brings good content, and I think it does qualify for some great education and contact hours. So you can go to the Engineering Center of Excellence website and look underneath this Engineering and Manufacturing Workforce Partnership Seminar and send an email to me directly or to the Engineering Center email, and we'll get you those contact hours, a certificate for that as well. So, and so let me introduce the featured speakers. What I'll do here is I'm going to introduce the bio of each featured speaker. When one gets done, I'll introduce the bio of the next one, and then we'll kind of walk our way through that. So from 10:35 to 10:55, we got Mr. Jacob Wilson, a Director of Manufacturing Quality Engineering with Design Ready Controls. Jacob is an electrical engineer. He's been with Design Ready Controls since 2009. He's taken on multiple roles throughout his tenure. Currently, he's a Director of Manufacturing and Quality Engineering. Jacob received his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering and a Professional Science Master's in Engineering Management from Minnesota State, Mankato. Design Ready Controls is a leading supplier of control panels, wiring harnesses in North America. They serve original equipment manufacturers from many sectors, leading the industry in engineering capabilities, process efficiencies, manufacturing automation, national presence, and responsive service. They operate facilities in Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Virginia. All facilities are ISO 9001:2015 registered. They follow best practices in supply chain management and pursuit of continuous improvement in all of their systems, from collaborative engineering to process automation to communication accuracy and speed. So I would like to welcome Jacob, and please, if you have an opportunity and you have a question, let's toss it in the chat, and let's put our speakers underneath the hot seat. I told them they're going to be underneath the hot seat, and I want them to answer your questions and help you in your challenges. So welcome, Jacob, and look forward to hearing what you have to share.
All right, thanks, Jason. Let me just pull up the slides here. 1 second. There we go. All right, is everybody able to see my screen? All right. So again, thanks, Jason, for that introduction, and thank you for, from the Minnesota State Engineering Center of Excellence for reaching out and kind of just giving this opportunity to tell our story. Like you said, I'm Jacob Wilson. I'm the Director of Manufacturing and Quality Engineering here at Design Ready Controls. I've been with the organization for about 12 years, and ever since I've started, we've been engaged with local schools and colleges in some shape or form. So I'd like to just spend some time today just kind of discussing what some of those various approaches have been, and what we've done over the years that we feel have been successful. So Design Ready Controls, we were incorporated in 1989. We went from 2 employees and grown to over 400 employees across the states. We specialize in industrial control panels and harness solutions. And we service various markets, HVAC, oil and gas, water, wastewater, and recently getting into some electrical vehicle charging, which we're very excited to be a part of. And not only are we probably the largest control panel manufacturer in the world, we also like to think that we're the most automated. And just kind of, where we are within the US. Our main manufacturing facility and headquarters is up in Minneapolis, actually Brooklyn Park, just west of the cities. But we also have manufacturing locations in Richmond, Virginia, and Oklahoma City. And with each one of these facilities, we have a large customer base, and it really just helps to cut down on the cost of having to transport panels across the US and all the logistical issues that come with that. And then just a brief look, our portfolio, what we do. A majority of our panels are UL 508A, UL 698A, and like you said, a lot of the customers are original equipment manufacturers. So a lot of these products are going into their facilities and being installed on machines there. So with that, we also offer a lot of wire harnessing solutions just to kind of help with that ease of installation. In addition to low voltage control panels, we also do some medium voltage applications. And with the EV charging getting into a lot more higher power applications up to 450 kilowatts. And with the UL regulatory listings, we also are ISO 9001 certified. So we are a very data-driven company. We really try to augment our workforce wherever we can with automation. We have a lot of tools and processes that drive off of this data. As you see here, we have 2 machines shown. One's a Comax Zeta wire processing machine. We have a couple of these. These cut the wires to length. They can then terminate the ends and then also plug wires into various bulkheads and connectors. And on the right there, you see a Perforex machine. We have a couple of these as well. They're upright CNC machines. They allow us to cut out holes, drill, tap on off-the-shelf enclosures and back panels. And in addition to this, we do a lot with QR codes, barcodes, vision systems, projection systems, and recently looking into using augmented reality to assist with panel construction. And in addition to this, also a lot of our facilities are paperless. So everybody's working off a computer terminal to review the bills of material, schematics, and various reports needed to build the control panels and harnesses. But really, kind of the reason I'm here is just to discuss, how we engage ourselves with the local schools as kind of an industry partner. But before I get into that, I kind of just want to take a step back and kind of go over our approach. So, a few years ago, we kind of just took a step back and really tried to determine what the needs are for the organization. We had a hard time. We still do have a hard time, getting candidates of the skill level we need to be successful, right out of the gate. So we started to come to the realization that we needed to really start owning the skills growth and not just the on-the-job training. So we started to really focus on our internal training process and onboarding process. A lot of this we determined we could handle, in-house, but there were desirable skills that we identified that we needed to work with, local schools or organizations out there to help grow these skills outside of our work environment. And with that, we've started to define, career paths. those opportunities for advancement of individuals within the organization, as well as further and continual education opportunities. And again, just to do this, we really need to look out to the community, see what the options, what programs are available out there, which I'll discuss here later. And we kind of found that as we were developing these and formalizing this approach, not only were we able to quickly grow the skills of the employees, we've also had a much higher retention rate in doing this. So to start, we modernized our internal training process and kind of brought it to the next level. We brought on more people who could assist with one-on-one training. Regardless of an individual's background, they go through an onboarding process where they're teamed up with a dedicated trainer to kind of learn those finer details of their position. This is done in a controlled environment where they're able to work on actual production units off the line with that direct guidance of a trainer. And with this, we also developed a lot of training videos, manuals to help provide consistency, across our various facilities, so we can ensure that our employees are getting the same message, they're getting the same content and the same set of skills, regardless of where that training is being administered. And then we also, worked with peer mentor trainers. So after they come off that one-on-one training, we have mentors that can administer further training modules, as well as, just be there as they have questions throughout their growth within the company. And with that, we also have training certificates. This allows us to identify what training is required for the various positions, and just assure that employees have the proper certificates to perform in the capacity that's required. So kind of with that training program in place, we also focused on career growth, providing adequate paths for individuals to progress within the organization. Having the mentors, the robust training program, the certification process. We also defined standard levels of training required for all job functions within the organization. And then with this, we identified those various levels, the training and the education that's required to work in those positions. And just lastly, to assure that we had adequate opportunities for employees to get the education needed to progress with the organization, we just kind of focused on that all-out employee development plan to kind of just round out establishing a career here at Design Ready Controls. So here's just kind of a brief look at some of the production departments and the various roles and levels required. And this really just helps our employees just see, where are the avenues for growth as they're working here. It could be vertically from an entry-level position up to, up to manager, or as they're working in one function, they see maybe, somewhere else they have some interest, they can also move horizontally within the organization. It's very clear to them, here's kind of the different levels, here's the training and then the certificates I need to get there. And we took that same approach, on the office side as well, with engineering, some of the office departments. And this really helps, those individuals that are working on their production floor to see, what are the technical skills I need to start getting, what's the type of education I need to get so I can start getting more of an engineering or a tech position within the organization. I've personally had a lot of success with this. Employees that are working here at Design Ready Controls while going to school, once they finish their education, typically we offer them an internship, and then hopefully we have a position that we can fill full time. And providing that avenue for growth while they're here learning is just invaluable when it comes to those technical and engineering positions, because they've had years of working with the panels, they know the pains, and they can kind of account for that now when they're actually designing these and supporting the panels on that technical side. So that was kind of our internal process, and again, we need some help from schools and industry out there to grow some of these skills externally. So back in about 2015, we started working with the state of Minnesota. They were offering a pipeline grant that allowed students to go to school, with kind of the education paid for by the state as well as the employer. So we've worked with some various schools and kind of just to start that path from working in production to getting the technical skills. We worked with Hennepin Technical College. They offer a 2-year automation and robotics degree. And this is kind of that first exposure for people that are interested in pursuing a technical degree. We've even gone as far as offering a class on site 1 day a week that they can use to apply towards that automation and robotics degree. And then from there, recently we've been working with Bemidji State. They offer a 2x2 program in applied engineering. Again, this is through the pipeline. So if they have that 2-year associate's degree, now they have an avenue, another 2-year program where they can go and get a bachelor's degree in applied engineering. And then finally, working with the Minnesota State University Mankato, they offer the Professional Science Masters in Engineering Management. This is again a 2-year degree in a master's program, which I participated in and graduated in 2019. And again, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity. Had it been out-of-pocket expenses, I probably wouldn't have gone that route. But the fact that it was offered to me, it was something I could participate while going to work. I grabbed that as quickly as I could. So again, these are all opportunities. These are free to employees, and they're able to do this while they're going to work. And then more on the onboarding front, we've been working with Summit Academy to try to get more qualified people into our building. They offer a 20-week electrical training course, and we've had a lot of success with the graduates coming out of there, kind of having those fundamental electrical skills as they're coming to work at Design Ready Controls. And then last year, we were actually awarded a grant through the state of Minnesota, and we're going to be working with them throughout the year to develop a more specialized program with skills more applicable to the manufacturing industry. And this is just kind of a summary. Like I mentioned, the pipeline grants and the various degrees offered through it. Since we rolled this out, we've had 31 employee students participate in this. And this has really just helped them advance their career throughout the organization. And it kind of just grows that mindset, that culture of education. And really, I feel keeps us cutting edge. And again, it's also a really good selling point on the recruiting aspect, because a lot of people want to know, what's out there for me as an individual to kind of grow to some higher level technical positions. And there's nothing better to say, well, you can do that while you're going to work here at Design Ready Controls. So, if the incentive of education isn't enough, there are other incentives that we offer. Like I mentioned, some of those higher level positions, the senior titles, those require some sort of education background. So again, if they're interested in those, they have that ability to get there while they're going to work. And then also too, just some wage incentives. If they participate in these on-site classes, they get some wage increases as well as they're completing their education and some of those 2-year programs that we offer. So as we've been doing this, there's obviously barriers for employees to go to school while they're going to work. Some things such as, traveling, having to go to and from class can be disruptive throughout the week, depending on when their courses are. Especially if those courses are in the day, can be disruptive. The administrative, for the employee to have to fill out grants and try to get this money, and more of the traditional education process. There's a lot of paperwork associated with that. And then two, the traditional reimbursement, oftentimes, we do offer tuition reimbursement, but the employee has to put forth some money for that semester. And then once they complete their classes, they're reimbursed. So there's some out-of-pocket money that they have to kind of put forward as they're going to school, which can be a deterrent. So like I mentioned, these solutions that we're talking about, the online programs, with Bemidji State and MSU, a lot of these are offered online, so they can do this, over the weekend at night, and it's, they're able to come to work during the day with very little disruption. The on-site training, it's very nice. The employee can come to their shift a little bit early that day, go off to get some training for a couple hours and come right back to work without having to leave the building. Obviously we try to be as flexible with the students. So if a lot of their coursework is at night or during the day, we can, work them on first or second shifts just so that allows them to be a little bit more flexible. And then lastly, with the pipeline grant, that's paid for by the state and Design Ready Controls. There's no out-of-pocket expenses. It's free to employ while they're working here. And then the last thing, I'd like to touch on is kind of how we engage, outside of just the traditional schooling is, part of our mission too is just really to promote, manufacturing, letting people know that there's careers out there and there's opportunities to growth, outside the traditional, going to college right after high school. And this is, really beneficial for a lot of those people that are just unsure of what they want to do next. So, hopefully we can provide a good entry-level position. hopefully they start to enjoy this field of work. They start to see where they can go, what's those next steps. And again, they can earn and learn. They can earn money while going to work, as well as get that education to get them to that next level. So just some of the various things that we're doing just to kind of promote this, get that message out there, as well as just to make sure that we are aligned with the candidates coming out of college. And one of those things is advisory boards. So again, this is a good opportunity to team up with local colleges. We have participants in every one of these listed here. And it's just, again, a good opportunity to work with the colleges, kind of provide that voice of the industry. The industry is always changing, and with that, so are the requirements. So this just kind of assures that, the college, as they're growing these candidates, that as they enter the real world, again, those expectations, those degrees, their training is aligned with what's going on out in the industry. Curriculum development, like I mentioned with Summit Academy, working with the schools to fine tune or even develop new curriculum to make sure that there's a work pool, a workforce to pull from that can come in and start working as quickly as possible. Also, we worked with Dunwoody College back in 2019. I had the opportunity to work on a steering committee with other people in the industry, develop a automation and controls engineering degree. And again, this is just a good, these are the courses we'd like them to study. These are kind of the skills we're expecting them to see out of the college to make sure that the school and the industry are aligned with the students that they're graduating. And just, mentorship opportunities. We work with an organization called Brooklink, where we provide internships for students, working with robotics teams, Society of Women Engineering. And then this is just to promote design ready controls, who we are, what we do, and just kind of getting that message out there that, we're a company, we build control panels, and there's opportunities for employment. Internships, again, these are always a good opportunity to work with students that are soon to be graduating. These often occur sophomore, junior, senior years over the summer. And it's just good exposure for the students to kind of learn, hey, what does it look like as I start to get into the real world, as well as us, as an employer to start to see, okay, with the skills, we throw them projects to work on, we can kind of understand a little bit more intimately, how they handle these types of these tasks. So hopefully when there is a full-time position and they're working out, it's an easy decision on going that next step. And if not, it's always a good, it's good exposure to them as they're going out in the real world, what to kind of expect outside, just the traditional coursework. And with that, student projects. So we try to team up with schools to work, provide projects for the students to work on. Again, they're working on some sort of a project to solve some problem that we have. And, it's really beneficial for them. It's typically their first exposure working as a team, utilizing project management. And again, like with internships, it's a good opportunity as the employer just to kind of see the skill sets of these employees. And, when they wrap up their schooling, they're typically reaching out and asking for jobs. And, there's a position to fill. Again, it's an easy choice because you had that opportunity to work with these students, engage with them, and just see how they work as a team. So when they come on board, you really know what to expect. And then school engagement. So, like I said, we really try to promote manufacturing. We try to let people know, there's opportunities, there's paths for career growth out there. So we do a lot with the local high school. We like to do a lot of tours and things coming through here. It's been a lot of virtual tours here lately this last year, but, we try to even have our engineers participate in these type of engagements, let them know, hey, this is what I do, this is how I got here, this is how fun it is, so students can start to see, what opportunities there are for them out there. And again, we're just really trying to bring awareness to, manufacturing and what those types of different avenues and opportunities are. And then lastly, just industry partnerships. We can't do this alone, so we like to team up with companies in our area, various consortiums, and participating in events like these. We're not the only ones experiencing these types of problems. So we like to try to make those connections, collaborate wherever we can, because those interactions are very valuable. It's an opportunity to kind of learn and share our experiences. And just to kind of wrap it up, I mentioned with the schooling and kind of what that looks like. And this is the results from 2020. We had one student that was able to graduate from a 2-year program. We currently have 25 people, working towards some sort of degree, a master's, bachelor, associates. And with that, I mentioned promotion. So we've been able to promote 6 people internally last year that have been participating in this career development. And then with those on-site classes, we had 16 people, participate some of those or complete some of those certificates here on site. So, again, I'd just like to wrap up by thanking everyone for this opportunity. Just again, this is our story. This is what worked for us. Everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different, but my suggestion is just to get started. A good starting point is just to reach out to career and technical education programs out there, whether it be a local high school or college, and just see, where you can help or where do they need help. And, it's a good starting point. I think you'll just kind of find that you'll grow from there as you understand, where your organization fits into the needs of the local schools and colleges. So again, I'd just like to thank everybody for this opportunity and wish everybody the best of luck.
All right, well, I still have you on here. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get you underneath a couple of, I told you we were going to put the screws to you. So real quick, we only have a few minutes because I got to get on to the next speaker, but a couple of questions that were posed. How do you encourage schools, both high schools and colleges, to teach these skills? And I would assume that's from the advisory council. Is that advisory boards that you reside on? Is that correct?
That's a good one. I participate in Minnesota State and technical and Twin Cities engineering, and that's usually a topic of discussion. What do you see the needs of the industry being, and where can we help? Basically, the schools they want to make sure that the students that they're graduating have the skills to get a job right out of the gate. So, reaching out to them, you'll find, I think, that there's that need too, that they want that type of input. So advisory boards are a good one. And then there's just always those opportunities too for working with the curriculums.
Okay. How about your training certificates? Are they company specific or are they nationally recognized?
For the most part, they are company specific, but we do use a lot of nationally recognized certifications out there, with our wire harnessing. There's some general guidelines that we follow to develop these, but they are specific to what we do here internally.
Awesome. How do students access internships within your organization?
So these typically get posted. If you go to our website, there's a career section there. You just click on there and there should be a list now up, I believe, of all the internship opportunities that are available. If not, what's that?
For high school and college or both, or?
Yeah, just definitely for college right now, but if there's an interest for high schoolers, there should be an HR email there. Reach out to them and we can come up with something to kind of help with that.
Okay. Do you have virtual tours? Is that on your website?
Nothing posted. There's some videos up there that kind of show the inner workings.
Okay.
And I have Amanda here who helps actually kind of coordinate a lot of these, but we do offer that. So if it's something you want, we can reach out to us. We can coordinate those.
Okay. And I think and then how much time or emphasis do you put on upskilling your crew once they're hired?
There's a lot. So I mentioned that one-on-one, that's typically a 4 to 6 week training process. Even if they have some of the skills, we still like them to work. We call it our dojo. It's a confined environment, and they're there typically for 4 to 6 weeks before we move them to the actual production line. And then while they're there, they have that peer mentor then that they can work with if questions come up. But typically a 4 to 6 week onboarding process for that initial training.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you, Jacob. I appreciate your time. We're going to roll into James Dolan. He's with Human Resources with Dye Technology. So James has received his associate's degree in medium and heavy duty truck technology from Hennepin Tech. Working as a diesel mechanic until the downturn of the economy, James had an opportunity for a career move in 2019 to a staffing industry. For 9 years, James worked as a recruiter and business development accountant manager in the engineering and manufacturing industries. In early 2019, James was offered a position from a client to take over their human resources to focus on employee career development, hiring, and furthering the relationships with the school system. So Since James' arrival, Dye Technology and Nano Precision has sent 3 employees to manufacturing machining training at local colleges. Has also 2 apprentices and 1 internship, along with numerous employees going to specialized training to develop their skills further in the manufacturing and engineering industries. Dye Technology is an innovative machining services and tooling manufacturer with an established reputation of high quality and precision since 1988. Dye Technology Incorporated designs and builds precision stamping dies, tools, and fixtures. Machining services include jig grinding, wire sinker, small hole, and micro EDM. Nanotech Precision LLC specializes in high volume production of small and micro-sized components. Nanotech Precision is dedicated to meticulously machining complex parts that meet only the highest standards of quality, specializing in medical device components, medical instruments, aerospace components, and microelectronics. So holy smokers, that's a lot in a nutshell. So James, I'm going to let you speak about what you guys are doing in connecting schools and your industry, and what does that look like. So thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jason. I was going to say you had to take a deep breath for all of that information. I appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to speak here today. And hopefully some of the information that I'm able to bring to the table for a lot of small manufacturers, you might be able to take some tidbits. It's very similar to what Jacob Wilson had just mentioned. A lot of the stuff that we're currently doing is very similar, but we have to look at it in a different aspect. How are we presenting to the school systems? You know, for us, total employees, we're about 45 right now. Nanotech is growing immensely. We have, as Jason mentioned, we have currently a few employees that are going through extra training outside of the workforce. Obviously, we have quite a bit of internal training that's going on. You know, for those employees, particularly with Nanotech, we hire them without any education background. You know, they might, all of them, they have a high school diploma at the most. They start out doing inspection of components. By the time they go through the training process, they're full machine operators, operating wire EDM machines and high precision. This is micro components. And within the medical device industry, not only just that, but within the aerospace and microelectronics. So they are very highly demand positions for somebody that's getting trained up. We really want to give the employees the opportunity to continue to grow. The tough part, as I'll mention further on, in a small company, you don't necessarily have those management positions for employees to really try and climb that ladder. So for us, that's been a challenge. As we're smaller organizations, you just don't have that opportunity. So how can we expand their knowledge and different training opportunities for them to maybe move in a different direction, advancing their career that way, and go from there. So today it's really just kind of what I'm going to cover a little bit. Copy a little bit about what Jacob said here earlier. Just connecting the industry and schools for small business side of things. So obviously we have 2 companies, Nanotech Precision and Dye Technology. Nanotech is ISO 13485 certification. Dye Technology is ISO 9001. We do have a third company, Custom Jig Grinding. As Jason mentioned, we focus on jig grinding, tooling and dies. As Nanotech, they are within the medical device, aerospace, and electronics industry. So a little bit about the companies, as I just mentioned, we'll do internal designs. So a lot of times what will happen is we will get the component, the finished product, the design of that product and what a customer wants. That goes to our design team. They will reverse engineer that and build whether that's going to be a tool fixture, a stamping die, that could just be a 1-up die, 2-up die, getting into progressive dies as well. Everything is very high precision. So some of the services that are involved, as I mentioned, jig grinding, wire machining services, milling services, high precision grinding involved with that, EDM sinker side of things too. And then with nanotech, we actually split nanotech off of dye technology back in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. They are a high volume production facility. So to have them operate under dye technology's umbrella, it just didn't make sense because dye technology is more of a custom job shop. So we made that determination to split the company off in two, do a high volume production of micro sized components. You know, a lot of the features that you're going to see on these, that you would see on these components, you can't see with the naked eye. You really need to look underneath some type of microscope, vision system, to really see the features that are involved with what they do over there. It's quite fascinating, to be honest with you. So serving the medical device, electronic and automotive, and aerospace industries, both companies, we strive for excellence in high precision, and the goal is really to be cooperative partners with their customers. We look at us as an extension of their business. You know, for us, our core values are top of the line for us. The people, integrity, excellence. You know, how are they collaborating amongst the team? Everybody that we hire, we look at how are they going to fit? What are their strengths? And how can their strengths play in with the weaknesses of our team, and how everybody's going to intermingle. It's a team environment. Everything they do is working together to come up with that solution at the end of the day. If there's an issue, you know, it's not one person creating that issue, it's the team. They bring their heads together to be able to come up with that solution. Consistently striving for excellence, you know, integrity. It's do what you say as you do. And so on and so forth. So, you know, some of our challenges and advantages of being a small company, and a lot of the people today that are on this seminar here I'm sure can agree to or attest to what's going on. So one of our biggest challenges working with the school systems, you know, we're small business and we're competing with some of these larger organizations. You know, they might be able to bring on an intern, 5 to 10 interns. You know, for somebody like us, we only have the ability to really maybe one. And kind of tying that over to the advantages side of things, the only one student or intern is a rare opportunity. So the way that I present it to the students or the schools, you really have to look at it as a small company. You have to look at it as you're selling your ability, the potential opportunity for that student to come in and what they're going to get exposure to. For us, when we hire a student, it's not you're going to be working in the mill department. It's you're going to start off in this area, work in that area for a few months, jump into the mills, get some experience on an EDM sinker, jump in over to the wires, learn some of the jig grinding, and getting into the Swiss machining. You're jumping around and gaining that experience all the way through the shop. As the more knowledge that you gain on how we operate and doing what we do, you'll be able to understand, you know, at the end of that internship, say, hey, you know, I really like this opportunity, but I really enjoy doing Swiss machining more than the mills or the wire EDM. So, you know, even though we might have a need at that time in the mill department, we might find out through the process that their skills and expertise really advance over in a different area. So we're open to it. When we're bringing an intern on, where are they going to fit best in the team? You know, the other challenge for us would be opportunities for advancement. As you know, as I mentioned earlier, we're not a large organization, so to climb that ladder can be difficult. For us, we really put an emphasis on training, extra training, sending them out through different programs here in the metro school systems. As Jason mentioned, we currently have one student. She's going through a program through the MSAMCOE that's over at Hennepin Tech. What an opportunity for her to really push her to that next level. She started here 5 years ago as just a process operator, just doing inspection. And here she is. She's going to school to learn programming and CNC. Everything's covered. And the future opportunity for her is to really start developing the tooling and programming the tools that nanotech uses for their components. So there's those opportunities and having those conversations as you bring people into your business, whether you're just doing tours or having a conversation with the instructor. You really have to sell yourself on those capabilities and what these students are going to have the opportunity to do. So working in a bigger business, from my experience and being in the staffing industry, a lot of people that go into a larger organization, they end up getting lost in the bundle of everybody coming in at the same time. You're competing against every single person, which competition, it can be healthy at times, but when you're dealing with some red tape, that can be pretty difficult to gain that experience and really push yourself to find out what it is that that person really wants in their life or their career. The other challenge, as I mentioned, ability to hire more people. We're small, as I mentioned, we're a small company, so maybe one intern a year we have the ability to bring on. But on the plus side, they have exposure to more equipment. We're very big on bringing the top of the line. For us, it is, if something were to happen to dye technology and nanotech today, we're giving our employees the opportunity to gain exposure and knowledge on the highest level of machining equipment that's there, so that if something were to happen, they can go out in the industry and find a job anywhere else and thrive in the industry. Bringing students in, they get that face-to-face interaction, everybody. So, that student is not going to be just working in one specific area and being trained with one specific mentor. For example, with our employee that's going through the Hennepin Tech schooling right now, she has one particular mentor, but she's working with 7 different machinists throughout the day, or I should say throughout her training period. She'll focus in one area, and then another day, depending on what she's learning in school, she might be working with somebody completely different, or having conversations with the CEO, the owner, the general manager, walking the shop floor. You get that family atmosphere, and that's something that you can sell to these students as you're looking to bring more people on. In-depth training opportunities. I mean, we'll send our staff out to Chicago or Ohio, depending on where our equipment is purchased from, the supplier, and further training, programming experience. All of our machinists here, they do their own programming. We don't have an engineering department that's going to do that, where in other bigger companies, they have a specific engineering department where their mechanical engineers or electrical engineers are going to be doing those programs, depending on what industry you're involved with. So those are just some things that we've been working on in regards to internal training opportunities for students. We'll go over that a little bit further here. In the communities, for us is where we need to start. We're in a CNC industry, manufacturing. Finding that talent is difficult. There is not many people that are going to school for machining right now. I should say it's starting to climb quite a bit, but COVID obviously took a hit with that as well. A lot of students going to school, a lot of the schools ended up having to close down. Get involved with the high schools. One of the things that I'm working on, especially as we're moving to a new location in St. Michael, is work with the local high schools in the area. Bring the schools in for tours, set up a lunch with them, pay for the lunches when they bring the students in. This year with COVID, it kind of put a damper on this year's, but one of the things that we were going to be implementing is having workshops with the students, trying to match them up with a machinist where they can potentially do a project here on site, come in after hours, or getting involved with the work programs. Those are some job opportunities, just entry level, working with the students, explaining to them what the career path could be for them. Trade schools are, it's a great opportunity for people to get themselves out in the industry and create a good living. I mean, I myself went to a trade school and had a really good living, and unfortunately with the downturn, I had to make a change, and back problems working on semis, that didn't help either. So, through that process, just explaining to the students, hey, this is where you could be at in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, what your career is going to end up looking like as you gain more experience in just manufacturing. Tuition reimbursement program, as a Jacob said as well. We have quite a few students, I should say, employees here who started out working here in high school. They come in after school, they're sweeping floors, they're helping, square blocks up, doing small jobs, helping the machinists out with stuff. But in that time, they're gaining that experience of being around the equipment and what actually goes on. What is behind the doors of a product that you might use on your daily basis at home? How is that made? So, if that's a path that they want to choose to go, as a manufacturing, I would recommend any manufacturer, whether it's small or large, to get involved with the high schools. Is even if, each high school can add an extra employee or an extra student going to a tech school, what is that going to do for our industry? The opportunities, the talent that's going to come to our industry. That's why I've decided to really kind of hone in on the local high schools, start putting some programs together. I shouldn't say but our company has really put an emphasis in building that out as well, and something that we're going to definitely push forward here to the future. Getting in with the local colleges is, really what discussing this here. For us, we don't necessarily do a lot as far as engineering side of things because we want to promote our machinists to that level. If that's something that they want to go to, we look at getting them as at a 2-year degree. If they're getting involved with doing programming and going to that next step is what we're currently doing. We've got an employee here right now who prior retired military, came here, had some machining experience. He's currently a EDM machinist doing programming. We sent him out for further training there. Next step for him, he's going to automation school. He's going to start putting processes and developing different processes to automate our equipment to make things more efficient. For him, the next step from there is a manufacturing engineering or a mechanical engineering degree. And that's all opportunities for growth internally that as a small company, we have to try and find ways to keep the staff internal. And if we have those opportunities, let's give them to them. For small companies, attending the college career fairs, that's the number one step, really. You get your name out there at the schools, the instructors are walking, the students are walking through, and that's pretty standard as far as that goes. But be the type of company that's not going to sit back behind the table. Be the company that's going to sit in front of the table and introduce yourself to the students, introduce yourself to the school staff, sell yourself. This is what we do. Be open to donating equipment. Trying to get update the school's equipment. If you're looking to bring on new equipment and you have some older equipment that still works, that's a big struggle right now, particularly with these tech schools. A lot of their budgets are being cut, and they're starting to cut some of the stuff out of their classroom training because they can't afford to maintain the current equipment that they have. So it's up to us as manufacturers in the industry to be able to help them out, because ultimately it's our employees that's getting hurt, not having that ability to train on the right equipment or the most up to date. Be open to give tours to not just the students but the instructors. I've brought in quite a few instructors in just to show them our shop. Being part of a couple of advisory boards and getting them involved in our shop and just saying, hey, this is what we do here. This is the equipment. This is the idea of what we would like to see as a student coming out, the knowledge that they're gaining in class to be able to be more prepared when they get into the industry, and not just your button pusher, the basics. Get more involved with the programming as far as that goes. I just got done doing a career fair here this week, and currently, even though these students might not be a fit or their location, they're on the south side of the cities as we're moving further north, it's, hey, come on in. let me give you a tour, even though this might not be the fit for you. Come in so you can experience what other machine shops are available in the industry, and you can get a feel of what it is you want to get your hands on for your opportunity when you're done with school. As I mentioned, join the advisory boards, get involved. As I'm currently involved with 2 local tech schools right now, looking to add a couple more, but that's having the opportunity for an instructor to see you involved and they get to know your business further. It just gives them the opportunity to talk with the students and say, hey, instead of going down the road to conglomerate X, why not go to mom and pop shop over here where you're going to get a lot more experience of X, Y, and Z. The manufacturing programs that are involved that these colleges are doing, as I mentioned, MPMA has got a program right now that we've experienced a few different manufacturing programs, and this program that we're working with MPMA and Hennepin Tech, it's by far a very solid program to give your employees training. Currently, right now, there's grants to take advantage of to send employees to that program. A lot of hands-on in the classroom, but also they're doing about 20 to 25 hours a week on the job. Working with the mills, learning the lathes, and going in even further. As we have an employee right now that's going through. She does a lot of our EDM work at Nanotech, but the next phase for her is to get into the micro milling. So she's been doing a lot of milling over here, learning that side of things, and also getting involved with developing the tooling that they're using. So, but take advantage of those programs for students that you have. Maybe they're in high school and they can't afford to pay for their college tuition or something of that nature, where they can at least get the basics and get to that next level, and then look at tuition reimbursement opportunities for them. And some smaller companies, it's a huge cost for them and they can't afford that. So these type of programs are awesome. Depending on what county you're in, a lot of times those programs are free for the students, and if not, the cost is fairly low for a smaller organization to take advantage of. And
All
really,
right,
yep.
I'm gonna cut you back, and hopefully you can summarize real quick, because we got to move on to the next next speaker.
Yep, I was just finishing up. The last thing there is just get involved. Get involved as much as you can in the local colleges and everything. And that's pretty much it. Be involved as much as you can.
Awesome. Nice job. I appreciate that. I'm going to throw one question at you. One question real quick. What personal characteristics do successful candidates often possess?
It's the initiative. Honestly, it's the drive that they want to continue to learn more. Yeah, we have, employees that they want to stay in a certain area, and that's completely fine. And we're 100% okay with that. But as you have an employee that has, comes to you and asks about these opportunities, why not look for those opportunities for them to be successful?
Awesome. All right, I'm going to boot you off now. We're going to move on to our next one. And Scott, you got pinched, but you know what, buddy? You can make it go. So I'm going to introduce Scott Schaefer. He's a teacher and leader of Career Pathways program at Johnson High School. Been teaching for 18 years, physics, earth science, and engineering. Currently teaches aviation, in addition to leading the Career Pathways program at Johnson High School. That's why I brought him on board for this one. There's a high school now speaking to what they're doing and connecting with industries. So he aims to make high school education more relevant to personal career growth, combined with experiences related to in-demand jobs of today. He works to connect students to a scaled education in high school towards a specific career path, which will capstone with a work experience with an industry partner. I am pleased to welcome our next speaker, Scott Schaefer. Thank you.
Yes, well, thanks for having me today. Again, my name is Scott Schaefer. I am. I actually was, I always wanted to be an airline pilot, but my path had changed, and I taught physics for a while. I taught engineering. I teach a drone licensing program. So I'm kind of all over, but one of my jobs is to create, I've been creating pathways at Johnson High School in St. Paul. And I should give you a little bit of history of this. About 10 years ago, we started an engineering pathway, which essentially, what that is that's putting engineering classes in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And really, you know, throughout a student's high school career, they're getting some engineering classes every year in the hopes that, you know, hey, you've got enough knowledge that you can either go to, you know, go further education, get an engineering degree, or find a place and be an engineering tech or something like that. So, so we started engineering about 10 years ago, and we actually shortly after started the aerospace program. Those programs became very successful. And the St. Paul Public Schools noticed and thought, we should do this, you know, this career pathway thing, we should do this on a larger scale. And so St. Paul has kind of adopted this, and so it's not just Johnson High School anymore that has these career pathways, but all of the high schools that you see here, these are the main St. Paul Public School high schools. So while I'm sharing this with you about our pathways, and I'm only going to focus on the engineering and the manufacturing. So those are the two that I'm going to focus on today. But I just wanted to be clear that we have other pathways that we have are education, because we need more students of color becoming educators. We're starting a new medical pathway this this coming year, in this fall. We've been doing our manufacturing for about 3 or 4 years now, and next year, not in 2021, but the following year, we're going to start a business entrepreneurship journalism pathway as well. So that's kind of what we have. As you come to Johnson High School, we're encouraging every student to grab onto a pathway and go through it. Now, some of these pathways, manufacturing and engineering, kind of intertwine. Actually, engineering, manufacturing, and aerospace, they all kind of meld together in one way or another. But we're really encouraging students to think about your careers when they get into our school. And I should also preface this, like every 9th grader that comes into Johnson High School, they're required to take a class. We call it our career sampler. And essentially every 9th grader gets like a 3-week unit on engineering. So we do an engineering project, and they learn the basics of Inventor. We do a manufacturing, we spend 3 weeks doing manufacturing, where students really we're building something using our fab lab. And then we teach them 3 weeks in aerospace as well. And we actually have, they learn about all of the pathways in our school, and that's kind of, we try and catch them at 9th grade, you know, start thinking about your career, grab one of these pathways, and, you know, we'll see what, you know, good things can happen after you're done with school. So this is our pathway program. This is the high altitude view of our entire program. Now, as you can kind of see, you know, and I'm just going to kind of steer you to the right side of the screen here. Our engineering program, you know, these are all the classes that we have in our engineering program. The goal is, after students take these classes in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, the whole idea is to give them some sort of internship during their senior year. So when they're in 12th grade, we literally want to send them out into the world for a semester and do an internship. Now, that clearly has some hurdles in itself, and I'll kind of go over that in just a little bit. But St. Paul Schools is actually, we're changing the way we're doing school so that we can allow students, we're making school more flexible so that we can allow students to really get a good work internship experience. So you can kind of see each one of our pathways, we want to have an industry partner attached to that. With our engineering program, we work close with Genesis Works, who works with a whole bunch of other companies. 3M has been really important to our engineering and manufacturing programs. And a lot of our manufacturing students go straight on to St. Paul College. So our mechatronics class is tied really closely to St. Paul College. And I would say a real good portion of our manufacturing students will go on to St. Paul College to further on their mechatronics learning. Just a couple of other things I just want to note. Johnson High School we have a total student body of about 1,300. These numbers off to the side are just indicating not who's in the program, but those are how many students are taking these particular classes. So you can kind of see we've got, about 40% of our student body are taking some engineering classes, and about 25% are taking manufacturing. So that's the 30,000 foot view. I'm bringing this slide up because this is kind of what our St. Paul School District is trying to do, not just at Johnson High School, but at all the St. Paul high schools. We actually want to have career pathways in each of these career fields. And by the end of next year, every high school in our school district in St. Paul is supposed to have at least one pathway in each of these areas. So right now, Johnson High School is probably at the front and center of manufacturing and engineering and aerospace, because they've been our bread and butter for the last, 5 years or more. But now we're adding, COVID's really added the medical and interest and so on. So I bring this up because it's not just Johnson High School that's going here. We have other high schools that are looking to get into manufacturing, and we do have other engineering high schools as well. So let's take a look at this is our engineering pathway. So after that 9th grade class, we really encourage students, if you like our engineering project and you're interested, go down this pathway. And in 10th grade, our engineering students take Principles of Engineering and Introduction to Engineering. These are the PLTWC here. That stands for Project Lead the Way. It's an engineering curriculum that's nationwide. It also provides, when you complete it and you pass a test, you can also get college credit. Right now, our college credit, the college credit comes from St. Cloud State, is where most of our students get their, so by the time you're done with your engineering, you've gone through the whole engineering program at Johnson High School, you come away with, a handful of credits that are, a good way to start your college career if you decide to go down that path. So as I mentioned here, you got the 10th, you got your 11th grade classes, and then we finish with engineering design and development, which is where students really create, in a group setting, they create an engineering project to solve a problem. And again, finally, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get every student in every pathway an internship. And right now, our engineering students go to the Department of Transportation, Genesis Works, and 3M. I've actually, so being the person who's kind of launched Johnson's pathway program, we're really trying to get, I'm the one who's trying to outreach and get more students involved. But, kind of some of the challenges I've been hearing from the other speakers is, who do you talk to? What is trying to get the right person to figure out internships and internships for high school students is tough. We're changing, Johnson is, well, all of St. Paul is changing the way we're doing our scheduling. You know, we're trying to be more flexible so that our students in engineering and manufacturing can have internships with a manufacturer and be there during the working day and not have to worry about school. Now, how we're solving some of that is we're actually adding an online component. So, you know, some of the required classes like English and social studies that are required to pass. I mean, those two classes right there require students to be in the school, but now we're looking at making that an online option so that students can just spend the first semester of their senior year, not even in school. They're out in the field and they can take some online classes to fulfill their high school graduation credits. These potential partnerships, I would love to see an internship for every student and every engineering student we have. And I would say we probably got a good, consistently a good 100 students, if not more, that are strictly just in engineering, and that's what they want to do. As for our manufacturing, you can kind of see again, here's the classes we have as a 10th grader. Woodworking, computer integrated manufacturing, which is project lead the way class. We have an industrial robotic manufacturing, and this is the class that it's a real popular class, and it's been growing. We've been doing it for 2 years now, becoming more popular every year. It's 3M donated some mechatronics equipment, and it's just real small, but we teach them the whole process from the electrical to everything with this. So we have different modules to simulate a manufacturing environment. And so we have civil engineering, architecture, construction. And again, we have our senior year, they have a senior project. And right now, a lot of we have one of, manufacturing and aerospace have kind of combined. We have some students that have actually built this airplane. It's a kit airplane. And so we have probably about 12 students working on that airplane. And we've been working on it for about 2 years now. So it came as a bunch of sticks, and you can see it kind of looks a little bit like an airplane. We're not going to fly it. It's going to actually hang from the center of our school. But right now, we work real close with St. Paul College. We would love to work more with 3M, Kurt Manufacturing, any other contacts that I can get to get our students involved would be awesome. So I wrote down a couple of the previous speakers. I'm probably going to be reaching out to you guys. I also wanted to mention too, if you guys have any questions about our pathways or what we're doing at Johnson, I've got my email in the bottom corner. So feel free to always email me if you want. When it comes to our pathways, again, what we're trying to do with our students is in 9th grade, you learn about these pathways. We want you to be excited about it. We want you to get invested. So our manufacturing students, we want them to be hanging out with each other. So we have, so not only do they just learn about it in 9th grade, but you'll see over here, Schoology, it's our online teaching platform. It's where we do our online classes that, it's what I've been teaching off of for the past year. But even before that, that was our teaching platform. But what's nice is within Schoology, we can also get all the manufacturing students together. Students who choose it from 9th grade all the way to the 12th graders that are doing internships. We want all those manufacturing students to talk to each other, to share their experiences and be really excited about it. We've got shirts that we're making for each of our pathways so that, even as you're passing in between classes, you're representing your pathway. We have posters up all around the school representing kind of like, hey, which pathway did you choose? we have an 11th grade foundations class. This is where a lot of our students, this is kind of a career preparedness class. It's in 11th grade that we want our students to start choosing and thinking about what internship or career experience you want to do your senior year. So we give students an entire semester in 11th grade to really think about, okay, what pathway are you in? What internship do you want to go to? And really kind of prepare them for that senior year of hey, let's get you on a career path. And let's see, we have a pathways wall. So we have a wall where we have all our internships. We also share that on our Schoology platform. So anytime I get a new manufacturing internship, I'll share that with our manufacturing cohort. And then finally, we have a video that just kind of shares, kind of highlights what each of our career pathways are about. I know manufacturing is in the past. It doesn't sit, we're trying to change the view of what manufacturing is. I think years ago, it really had this connotation that it was a really kind of rather a dirty job. You're, doing the same, not really appealing. And we're trying to change that concept and really trying to get girls involved in it as well. The more students that go into it love it, but and they're the ones who are actually self-promoting, the group for even the ninth graders. So with that, that was pretty much it. I'm open for any questions that you guys might have.
I see there, thank you. I see there is one. Are you able to find internships for all students? And if not, what alternative activities do you offer to take the place of the opportunity?
So we don't have an internship for all students. That's our goal. And you can understand after all of these pathways and 1,300 students, which about 400, 350 are seniors. So you're trying to find 350 internships for seniors. And, with even that, not everybody's even prepared to do an internship. But in place of that, we have what's called a senior project. So even if you don't get an internship, what you would do is you would take this senior finale class. You have to create some sort of project based off what you want to do with your career. And you have to present that to teachers, administration, and industry partners. So that's what we're doing in the meantime, is a senior project that you have to present.
Awesome. All right, Scott. If something else pops up if you have other questions, please put them in the question and answer box. And Scott, if you can go ahead and man that for other questions that might be presented towards you, that would be great. So looks like if there's something else that pops up from anybody, go in there and go after that. So thanks again, Scott. I'm going to go into our next session, which is our panelists, our featured panelists. We've got 3 of those, very proud to have them. We're going to plow right into this real quickly because I think we only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to introduce Mr. Steve Kalina, President and CEO of Minnesota Precision Manufacturing Association, MPMA. I think you heard some mention of some of the programming that they have. Another person we have on here is Mr. Tim Barrett. He's with the Trade and Industry Specialist, Minnesota Department of Education. Again, we have industry representation, we have MDE representation, and another industry representation is Sandy Cashmark. She's Executive Director of Midwest Manufacturers Association. So since we have limited time, I've got their bios on the agenda, so please look that up and check them out. Wonderful people. I work with these people in many programs, and I'm so proud to have them as part of this conversation. So I'm going to lead out right away. We're going to get things rolling right out of the chute. And Sandy, I'm going to come right at you right away, okay? Now, can you talk about how Midwest Manufacturers Association has been supporting and promoting statewide tour of manufacturing? And really, I think give a little framework behind it. Talk about where it is and what is that tour of manufacturing thing. So I'll let you lead out.
Sure, thanks for the introduction, Jason, and happy to talk about the tour. And so I'm going to start out by giving a shout out to Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association, CMMA, and that's one of the associations, one of 3 associations my office serves, because CMMA actually facilitated, this might be a little known fact, the first ever tour of manufacturing in Minnesota. So that was back in 2009 when the CMMA board had this idea should we try and copy the tour of homes concept, was the talk at the board meeting. Would this be a way to reach the public and get them in our doors, kind of a manufacturing open house? And so they held that first event, and I hope I'm remembering correctly, but my mind is saying some 5,000 people came and toured. I think there was 10 or 12 manufacturing facilities that opened their doors that weekend in the St. Cloud region that first year. So it was a fantastic success. The idea caught on, and it was in 2012 that tour of manufacturing was expanded to be a statewide event in Minnesota. Currently, the statewide tour is spearheaded by Jamie Meyer, and we use the Minnesota Manufactured branding. Statewide tour is held during Minnesota Manufacturing Week, which is October 1st to the 7th every year. And it does have an impact. In 2019, we estimate that 28,000 people attended a tour. So people from schools and families and from the public got in our doors and experienced modern manufacturing. More than 200 manufacturers opened their doors that year. So really, what better way to dispel that dark, dirty, dangerous label than to have people see manufacturing with their own eyes. We do receive feedback from attendees, so from teachers, students, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and I'm going to share a couple of the comments because I think they're kind of interesting to hear. Before the tour, I never really stopped to think about where things are made. I always wondered what went on in that big building that I drive past every day. I didn't realize there's so many different careers to choose from in manufacturing. And the most common reaction by far is, I was amazed by all the technology. So that's my quick recap on the tour.
Right. Now help me with this. Can you help me identify how do businesses become involved in the tour of manufacturing? Is it an elite club, or can they go ahead and do that and talk about real quickly, if you can, about how it's a great way to connect that industry to the school, and how can a school then be associated with the tour of manufacturing?
Great question. So absolutely not an elite club. We'd love to have every manufacturer in the state involved. We do have a small group that's a planning committee, my office and a few other organizations that do the planning and coordinating every year. And so we have come up with some tools to try to help make it easier for manufacturers. We provide the branding and the messaging, of course. And then we also developed a best practices guide. So giving manufacturers some tips on, you need to think about parking and tour guides and walking lanes and signage, and there's all kinds of stuff you need to think about. So we have this best practices guide to help make that easier. We provide a media kit because manufacturers aren't necessarily familiar with or comfortable with calling the newspaper or radio or what wording to use. So we have some tools to help make that easier. We promote the tour to all the schools in the state to help drive student attendance. And then also the event comes with some grant funding to help pay for busing if student transportation is an issue. And then, of course, we have the Minnesota Manufactured website that provides a listing of all the tours. So that's how the public can find you if you decide to participate. So yeah, I guess if manufacturers are interested, or if schools are looking to bring their students, reach out. Well, you go to the Minnesota Manufactured website for a lot of information, or reach out to us and ask for help. We'd love to get you involved.
And tell me the cost of those toolkits and that information, because it sounds expensive.
And of course, it's free.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
you know, spinning off of that, now I'm going to pick on my friend Steve here. And Steve, now being the president and CEO of MPMA, what are you guys doing with regards to youth skills training programs, and what is that? And how is that a way to connect industry to schools?
So I know we're tight on time, so I did just put a link to the Minnesota Department of Labor website in the chat function, so people can feel free to look it up themselves. And with that, I'll be done. No, just kidding. So yeah, actually, MPMA helped champion the YST efforts, or the legislation back in 2017, and thanks to Representatives Barb Haley and Paul Anderson. But really, YST is really just another mechanism, a state-driven mechanism that allows students to get more involved in industry. So one of the biggest hangups we've had as manufacturers is, I always say, as children, students, youth, they get to watch TV and see what it's like, or theoretically like, to be a doctor, lawyer, police officer, whatever they see on TV. They don't typically get to know what a manufacturer does. And I encourage you to follow Sandy's advice and get involved in the tour of manufacturing. That's fantastic. The only problem is tours are just a quick snapshot. I mean, that is a great thing to do. The students need to do that. But then once they walk out of the door, we're kind of at the mercy of them and their parents deciding to get involved. So what one of the problems is that we can't have students, under 18 running machines. So yeah, they get to go through a shop and see it, but they can't actually run equipment. YST is basically a way to allow students to actually do work programs at manufacturers. So YST is actually a grant program that awards about $1 million a year. And in fact, the new grant awardees just came out, recipients just came out yesterday. The governor announced there were 11 more grant recipients yesterday, a total of 38 now over the fourth grant evolution. And so over that time period, there's been thousands, I think up to 17,000 students that have gone through tours, fairs, speaker engagements. There's like 70, well, there were 70 companies involved. Now I think it's over 100. Hundreds of students going through certified credentials, hundreds of students going through work experience. So it's kind of a collaborative effort to use grant money to help school and community programs develop this engagement. And then again, that work program allows students to actually go in and work for manufacturers, paid work experiences, where they can run machines, produce product for hours and hours at a time, so that it's not just a fun see what it's like, but an actual hands-on experience. And so that's one of the aspects of it. You actually don't have to be awarded a grant to get involved in YST. Once you decide you want to do a student worker program, YST will actually come in and do safety reviews and make sure the machines and equipment are set up right and everything. So that's kind of the state element of it, is making sure that things are done under certain guidelines and safety protocols. But otherwise, basically, the grants are awarded to educational institutions and community programs that then kind of grassroots efforts or engage with industry. It is for programs in agriculture, automotive, healthcare, and IT. Vast majority of it is actually being done by advanced manufacturing. So if manufacturing has decided that they think this is a valuable program, and actually this year I think we had 25 groups that applied for the grant and 11 were awarded. So the number of groups that have been applying for it is continually increased each year, and it's a great program that allows you to take some guidance and structure and do it as kind of a community rather than just each individual manufacturer having to do it, or each school. So I encourage you to look into it. Again, the recent grant recipients were just announced yesterday. The next round, the 5th round, will happen in this fall. Just to give you an idea, the groups that were just awarded as of yesterday: the Boys and Girls Club of Central Minnesota, American Nursing and Technical Institute, Burnsville Public Schools, Eastern Carver County Schools, Elk River Schools, Marvin Windows, White Bear Lake area schools, Winona Area Chamber of Commerce. So it's kind of a mix of community groups and schools, but it's a great program. Allows manufacturers to kind of take it to that next step with students beyond kind of that tour stage. So you can reach out to myself at MPMA. Otherwise, Rich Wessels is the project manager at Department of Labor and Industry. And he's a fantastic guy and works with a lot of the manufacturers, and he can help you kind of figure out how this might work for you as well. So,
Hey, Steve, you know what scares me the most?
Yeah.
It scares me the most is paperwork. How is the paperwork in order to do the youth skills program? Is it burdensome? I hear that a lot from industry members. What scares them that I hear is if the paperwork is extremely burdensome, they sometimes don't want to go down that route.
well, yeah, I could say as a manufacturer myself, I feel that way. The nice thing is for industry, they kind of get off the hook in YST because they really don't have to do the paperwork. The community groups and school systems will have to do some, but they are continually trying to improve that process, make it a little bit more streamlined. But like any grant program, it's got its challenges on getting signed up and everything. But at least from the industry standpoint, it's very minimal. So
Good.
I just have to give a shout out too, because I hope everyone has taken notes for the last hour, because man, I know personally Design Ready Controls and Diatech and Johnson High School, they are doing dynamite things, and I hope everyone's paying attention to them, because they've solved a lot of the issues that the rest of us are trying to figure out. So
Good. Thank you. And now I'm gonna pick on my friend Tim, and he's with MDE. It brings a vast knowledge about these programs. And you know that the other part I picked on Tim about was really looking and asking you, Tim, what's happening legislatively? What's happening? There's a House subcommittee called the Industrial Education and Economic Development Finance Policy. That's a lot in a nutshell. So speak to me about what they're working on from a legislative standpoint that you're aware of, and how is it going to affect maybe some of their decisions on industry and students, and what might be some things that we should be contacting our representatives about that are initiatives that you're seeing that promote these connections.
Sure, and I put a link to their site so you can actually go and look at their minutes. And if you love C-SPAN, you can sit and watch the actual committee meetings and find out more about it. They've covered a couple of big topics. And before I even talk about that, I just want to make one thing, because I know we're getting very close to the end of the day. I think the one thing I would encourage from both schools and businesses that are trying to connect, that it is a relationship that you're trying to build, and none of that stuff happens overnight. I mean, a lot of the programs you heard about today took a long time to develop, and they didn't develop, full blown. They took some time. It was relationship building that happened. And so like any relationship, you're going to need to have those things happen. And in a lot of cases, you heard they even had some third-party help. So, you may be looking for some partners to help you find out the best way to connect with the other side of the equation, so you figure out what's going to happen. But what we're trying to do at the state level, and what some of the things we're talking about there, they are definitely talking about some of the hurdles that we have. And Scott kind of talked about a few of those. Not every school has got a Scott, which is too bad. I wish they did. There's a couple of great people on this in the audience here that I know are equally great in the work that they do at the schools they're at. But we have a shortage of teachers, and so one of the things they're talking about is teacher recruitment and preparation. We also need to talk about retention as well. As you can tell, Scott and a few others on the call work really hard with their students. So they're really trying to give them all the opportunities they can. They're building these great programs, trying to make those connections, but they're hard to do, and it takes time. And they've got that to do on top of the work that they're having to do in the classroom every day. In addition, we've talked a little bit, they've been talking about the CTE structure. So we're talking about career and technical education. What does that mean? How does that structured? How is that different from the old vocational education that a lot of us are familiar with when we were growing up as kids? How that licensing is happening. So they've been learning a little bit about what's going on with the licensing, getting some testimony from our partners out in the field who are doing the heavy lifting on kind of what it means to be a teacher in these fields and what's required. They've also heard from outreach groups, and there are outreach groups that we can reach out to. They've had construction so far, where hopefully we'll have manufacturers come and talk as well about the need for outreach, what they're doing, and how the state can help support some of that. And they're also looking at alternative projects and programs. One of the things that Scott didn't mention, but I think he would say is pretty true, is in addition to all the great things they're offering, students also have requirements they have to get through every day at school. And so what they're doing for the classes that he was talking about are mostly electives. And so you only have a certain number of those to put towards the day. Are there other opportunities to potentially provide students with experiences? Obviously, some of those are going to be the things that companies can do with schools. And so going back to that kind of whole that thing about relationships, one thing I would really say is, you know, it doesn't have to be an internship right on off the start. In fact, probably wouldn't be. There would be smaller things you're doing, and there's a whole slew of things. Some of them are mentioned: advisory councils and committees, teacher externships. What are some opportunities you can give to teachers to come into your businesses? Because again, some of our teachers are great. They know a lot of it. They come out of industry, but not all of them, or it has been a while and things keep moving in the industry and in the environment. And so it'd be good for them to have some opportunity as well. I put in the chat a couple of different resources we've tried to create to kind of help people kind of explore that, because people kind of go from classroom speakers right away to let's start a mentorship program. Well, that's a pretty big jump. There's a lot of steps in between that you can do to get people involved, and you heard a lot about them today. So I would encourage you to kind of think about what these companies are doing and how many different kinds of touch points they're having with schools, and how different ways that schools can find to connect with the businesses, and think about that when you're doing the work that you're doing with your school and or business.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. That was outstanding. We are at our noon, actually 12:01. I'm going to close with this. I want to thank you all for attending, and thank you to our speakers and our panelists. Hopefully you got a lot of information here. Just a reminder, a survey will come out tomorrow. Please fill that out, and that'll help us better the program. And videos will be available on our website. Professional development, contact us, the Engineering Center. You can go to on our website to be able to get at that for contact hours, and look for a communication for our next meeting happening this September. So next topic, who knows? We'll figure out something, and it'll be beneficial. So have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for your participation.